A man works for 40 years. Every morning, alarms, traffic deadlines, bills, exhaustion, and through all of it, he tells himself one thing: one day, I'll finally rest. Retirement. The promise that after decades of work, freedom eventually arrives. But what if that promise is slowly disappearing? What if millions of people today will never truly retire at all? For most of modern history, retirement represented security. Work hard long enough, and eventually, the house is paid off, savings grow, pensions provide stability, life slows down. That was the dream many societies promised. But modern economic reality is changing rapidly. And quietly, many people are beginning to realize something deeply unsettling. The future may be far more expensive than expected. Housing prices continue rising. Healthcare becomes more expensive. Food costs increase. Rent climbs higher, and wages often fail to keep pace. The result is psychological pressure spreading across entire generations. People are working harder, yet many still feel financially behind. A young worker enters adulthood already carrying debt, student loans, credit cards, rising living costs. Years pass. Then comes rent, mortgages, children, emergencies, inflation, and slowly, the future becomes financially consumed before retirement even arrives. Perhaps this is why younger generations increasingly fear something previous generations worried about less: working forever. Not because they lack ambition, but because modern economic systems became harder to escape. For decades, many people believed technology would reduce human labor. Machines would create more freedom. Automation would shorten work weeks. But strangely, many modern workers feel more economically trapped than ever before. Why? Because productivity increased. But living costs increased too, and modern economies continuously adapted around consumption and debt. A person once bought a home with one income. Today, many households require 2 full-time incomes simply to remain stable. Retirement savings shrink under economic pressure, and financial uncertainty becomes constant background anxiety. Social media intensifies this fear psychologically. People see luxury lifestyles, early retirement influencers, financial success stories, while personally struggling with rising costs and stagnant savings. And comparison quietly creates emotional exhaustion. There is another uncomfortable truth many people avoid discussing. Modern life became extremely expensive to pause. Taking time off work now feels risky for millions. A medical emergency, job loss, economic downturn. One crisis can erase years of financial progress quickly. This creates survival anxiety even among working people. Perhaps this is why burnout became so common. Many individuals are not only tired physically, they are psychologically exhausted from feeling trapped inside endless economic pressure. Work no longer feels temporary. For some, it feels permanent. Retirement itself is changing too. People live longer than previous generations. Pension systems weaken. Governments struggle supporting aging populations. And many workers now privately fear savings may not be enough. Retirement ages may increase, economic instability may continue worsening. The future begins feeling uncertain. A woman in her 70s continues working because she cannot fully afford to stop. A man retires briefly, then returns to work after financial pressure increases. These stories are becoming increasingly common. And perhaps modern civilization quietly normalized something previous generations once considered alarming: the possibility that rest may never truly arrive. This creates a strange psychological contradiction. Human beings spend most of life sacrificing time and energy for the future, while increasingly fearing the future may never provide the freedom they were promised. Technology also blurred the boundary between work and life completely. Phones, emails, remote systems, constant connectivity. Work no longer ends when people leave buildings. The mind stays economically connected almost all the time, and slowly, rest itself becomes difficult psychologically. Modern culture glorifies productivity too. People admire hustling, grinding, non-stop ambition. Being busy became symbolic success. Rest often creates guilt, and many individuals now struggle relaxing without feeling unproductive. Perhaps this is the deeper fear beneath modern work culture: not simply exhaustion, but the possibility that human beings are sacrificing their lives, chasing a future that continuously moves further away. Yet work itself is not the true problem. Human beings naturally seek purpose and contribution. The real issue may be systems where survival pressure consumes nearly all human time and energy indefinitely, because eventually people begin asking dangerous questions internally. When does life actually begin? How many years must be sacrificed before freedom arrives? What if freedom never arrives at all? Perhaps this explains why so many people fantasize about escaping modern systems entirely. Remote living, simpler lifestyles, financial independence, leaving corporate life. Not because humans hate effort, but because they crave ownership over their own time. Time may be the real wealth people are searching for, and maybe that is the most frightening realization modern society slowly faces. Human beings created extraordinary technology, wealth, and economic systems. Yet millions still fear spending most of their lives working simply to continue surviving. Because perhaps the real crisis is not only financial, perhaps it is existential. The fear that life itself may quietly disappear inside endless work before people ever truly get the chance to live it freely. And maybe that is why the idea of retirement feels emotionally powerful. Not because people dream of doing nothing, but because people dream of finally belonging to themselves again. So perhaps the real question is not, will people retire later? Perhaps the real question is, what happens to a society when millions begin fearing they may never retire at all?